I'm not the one.
I'm so confused now. I'm like,
Exactly.
yeah, because like, I didn't plan it. You see, now it's hard when you don't plan something.
So normally I'm the one who gets confused, and my guests, they always have it right. So I got you confused, and I think I've achieved something today.
At least you got it right this time.
Yeah. I think let's just dive into talking about your profession as a dietitian, right?
All right.
So you qualified as Stellenbosch.
Yes.
And when was that?
This was in 2016. I graduated in December 2016.
Yeah.
From university, yeah.
Why dietetics out of all the professions you could have chosen?
So basically what happened was that I wanted to go into medicine, and then I wanted to go like the medical side. And then I was like, okay, dentistry also looks cool. So I went and I checked out dentistry. And then at UP, when I was going through the list, all the professions like go alphabetically. So then in the medical faculty, dietetics was after that. So that's how I found it. So it was one of those, you just look through the list and then you're like, oh, what is this? And then I looked at what it entails. And then I thought about it. I was like, actually, maybe I should go and study this because, you know, in the Eastern Cape, there's a lot of, you know, education and gaps, especially gaps in education, and also like actual problems that can be, I don't want to say fixed, but nutrition, where nutrition and nutrition education can assist people.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe let me just go ahead and do it. I mean, no one else in my family has studied something like this. So I was like, let me just try it out and see how it goes. And surprisingly, I actually, even though it was hectic, but I'm here now.
Oh yeah. And as speaking of it being, I mean, studying dietetics being hectic, what are some of the highlights or highlight moments of what the difficulties that you had or the hecticness that you experienced?
So for me, you get there, you think, okay, it's campus life. You know, it was when I got there, I think I started my varsity years it was a good introduction. I went to a summer camp. So there was like a youth camp that you go to at the beginning of the year where you meet all the other students. So we did that camp, I think the beginning of January. And then thereafter, you go to the camp, and then you do the whole orientation week. And then some of the people that you see in your race were actually in the camp with you. So you sort of meet friends early. So I think making friends for me in the beginning wasn't so difficult.
Yeah.
And then moving on to the academic side, we did chemistry, we did life forms. So life forms was like biology and human life sciences. And then we did the second semester, then we did our normal dietetics modules, like your nutrition 101, foods, and then we did biostats also. Yeah. So for me, so doing statistics and doing you know, chemistry again after school, you thought that, you know, it was over, and now you meet with it again. It was sort of daunting, but I think as time went by, you learn how to manage your time. You learn how you study as an individual. So I had to learn different ways of how I can easily understand things and how I can actually make things make sense to me. And that there isn't a certain method to passing an exam. There isn't a certain method to you studying and understanding work. There's different ways in which you can apply certain, you know, things to help you understand different modules. Yeah.
Okay. So for those who don't understand how to qualify to be a dietitian, you did your 3 years, which is a Bachelor of Science in Dietetics, right, at the University of Stellenbosch, and then was it the honors or the 4th year was it part?
Oh, there you back. There was something that you just Instagram things just happen now.
Oh, it's saying your bed, your quality is now low. I don't know what happened your side, but it's telling me that your quality, something happened.
Oh, okay.
But I was saying that, yeah, now it's okay.
All right.
Yeah. It's saying Sibongile Mangena's bandwidth is low. Let's watch it and see how it goes. So
okay,
it's the third year, then was the fourth.
No.
Sibongile. Let's see.
Okay, I can see you now. Wait.
Okay, it's still saying it's low. Are you on data now or still on Wi-Fi?
I moved from Wi-Fi to data now when you said my bandwidth was low.
Oh, okay.
But on my side, it's showing a red thingy, like, you know, the network, it's like red, now it's yellow.
Okay, so it's gonna come back to life. You can still hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So I was just catching up everyone in terms of, we do 3 years of the degree, then we do the 4th year, which is your honors, or in other universities, it's called the postgraduate diploma. So then we then go into community service year, which is the year, obviously, after you've graduated with your 4th year university. So in your case, where did you do your community service year?
So I did my ComServe at Tambo Memorial Hospital, which is in Boksburg, in the east. Yeah, so that was in 2017. I learned so much from Tambo. Like, I think the things that I had learned there really helped me with the years that had followed. And I think it was amazing that we were all given an opportunity, like all of the ComServes, to do health days, to see different patient groups. So I think, because there were 3 of us, so for 3 months, you did a certain block. So then in the first block, I think I did neonates, and I don't remember what else, but I did neonates and medicine, like the medical block. So that was mostly with the neonates, like the neonatal outstanding for neonatal ICU. If the dietitian for neonatal ICU is not there, I would see your kangaroo mother care, so the very premature babies. And then you see normal medical ward patients. And then you move on to surgery. So then you see your surgical patients, you get experience on TPN and PEGs and, different specialities in surgery. And then you move on to pediatrics. So that's seeing most of your severely acutely malnourished kids and your CP patients, and also you do some clinics. So then you see some of your clinic patients. So there were different blocks in which that assisted me in, having quite a understanding the whole broadness of dietetics, and that it's not just, weight loss as people just see it, or just weight gain, or
Okay, so it was quite wholesome, and the whole journey, you as a dietitian doing community service, you were able to work in different spheres of nutrition, or therapeutic nutrition, which is what we practice.
Yes.
Okay, and there are dietitians who are currently doing their community service here, or who are just qualifying as dietitians and going to do their community service year next year. Looking back into that young Sibongile at Tambo, what are maybe 1 or 2 top advices you would give her, and I don't know, like words of encouragement or an advice that you would give her?
I think the most important thing, being humble, being open to learning is one of the most important things to do when you're in ComServe, because if you're humble and you're open to learning, and learning from, your supervisors, learning from, the dietitians who've been in the industry or who've been working at the hospital for longer, like more than 7 years, 5 years, learning from them and actually being open. So if they tell you, go and see this patient, don't, be like, I'm busy, but you're actually not busy. So actually being open to learn and go and see the patient, that because that can be actually an opportunity for you to learn something new. I don't know if, and also, what else can I say? With humbleness, so with being humble, and also stand your ground and know who you are. So what I mean by that, you deal with a lot of people. So you deal with doctors, nurses, other allies, even your the cleaning staff. So it's important for you to respect people, respect your superiors, respect people who are older than you, like the respect that you have from home. If you see a cleaner, if you see a doctor, if you see someone walking around the hospital, greet them. Don't just walk around like you're just walking, we're all people. You never know when you're going to work with that person or when you're going to need help from them. So if you're just going to walk around like you own the place, and you're not going to have a nice experience.
100%, yeah.
So just being humble, having respect, and knowing how to speak to people, and also if there is like a disagreement, or maybe you and a doctor don't agree in a certain treatment plan, don't be rude about it. Communicate and try and involve your superior if there's something you are not sure about.
Wow, I guess it's like sometimes you're thinking, I've studied for a couple of years now, I've got this, and then you get to community service, people who've been around or worked in that hospital for a while, be it umama who cleans or whoever, and you are just walking in water on top of, like we have floats or so, and you're thinking, I've got this. But the actual sense, you need to be quite humble and I like what you said. Give the same respect you would as a young dietitian coming into that hospital as just the respect you give at home, or people who are elderly or older than you in that sense. And tell me, so you graduated, done conserve, it's all done, and you're feeling like, okay, I got this. What happened after?
Oh my word. There's a lot that happened between 2018, 2019, my word. So in my ComServe year, I tried applying, because obviously ComServe is just 1 year. After that, you're on your own. So I tried applying for jobs and posts that were there, but it wasn't so easy. Like I thought maybe, you go to school, after that you're going to get a job and, you'll be fine after that. So after ComServe, you're used to getting a certain salary, like, that you're okay, so what I did, I was like, so after I was looking at the jobs, there weren't any jobs available at that time. I think there were a few, especially government posts, there wasn't much, but with being a rep, there were a few posts on that. And then locum posts were also available. And then I just applied. I went and applied at Stellenbosch for postgrad in Masters in Public Health Nutrition. I don't know what I was thinking. But I applied anyway. I applied and I was like, okay, let's do this. And if something doesn't come up the following year, then at least I'm not sitting at home doing nothing, because there's just I don't like just being bored and just doing nothing. So I would rather be actively doing something while waiting on something else to happen, So then when I had applied, I got accepted, and then I started studying the coursework in 2018, January in 2018. And then I had started looking for jobs, looking for different posts in government, in private, in different rep positions. And then I went for a government post. There was an interview. I went in. I think that was my first interview. I went in for that interview.
Yeah.
I don't know. It didn't go well. I didn't get the job, so it obviously didn't go well. So I was like, okay, maybe there might be another job out there for me. So I went for a rep interview. I think it was about a month later, I went for a rep interview. That one I also didn't get. So then I was like, I'm tired of going for job interviews now. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, because you prepare a lot. Like, I mean, you're nervous, you go through and you read your stuff and you prepare for an interview and you're like, but then at the back of my mind, I was like, but I don't have any experience. Like, am I even worth having this kind of job? Because I don't have any experience. I don't know much. I'm just an entry-level dietitian, you know?
Yeah.
And as I was still continuing with my studies, and when was it? I think it was 2018, August. Yes. I started thinking, no, was it August? I don't remember actually. It was sometime later in 2018. I was like, okay, maybe I should maybe try private practice. And then I thought it wasn't as easy as I thought, you know. It was a lot of going back to the humbleness, being humble.
Yeah.
I had to be very humble. I had to be open to learn from other people and to, you know, be like, you know what, I don't know how to do this. Can you help me? And I remember I even came to him, I'm like, I don't know how private practice goes. Like, I really need help. I don't know how to do this thing and how I can actually be a successful private practice dietitian. And then I also did a few locums here and there. So I wasn't actually, because what I was scared of was that I would lose my knowledge. I know that's a bit difficult to say, but no, if you're not practicing and if you're not doing something, you eventually, it feels like you don't know how to do it anymore.
100%. I agree with that, because you need to, and it's always been my thing that, you know, there are dietitians who get out of ComServe and they actually, when they're unemployed or waiting to be unemployed, it goes 2 years, it goes 3 years.
Yeah.
And when you have not practiced what you've learned, you know, you get a little bit rusty there, you know.
Yeah.
So it's very important to, I think what you were doing to move from, you know, it seems as if we are Dodoma, you know, you're moving from this
I was putting my foot everywhere. Literally, my foot was going in different places. Like,
but we never find where the foot is gonna fully submerge if we are not looking, because it's literally, I think we are told when we are leaving university, I don't even think it's because we are told. I think we think everything is just either black or white.
Yeah.
You know, it's either I'm going to work in a government hospital, or I'm going to be in private practice, or I'm going to be in food service, or I'm going to be in corporate. But when we go out with that mentality, then we close ourselves so much to a lot of a sea of possibilities of the things that we can actually do. And I think from there, from your experience, you can say that trying and knocking on a couple of doors, maybe it did help you. Won't you agree that it somehow did help you?
I think for me, it really did help me in terms of, you know, I did the locums. From the locums, you know, I'd go back to my book. So maybe the dietitian there that I'm locuming for will be like, okay, you work with me for a week. You work at my practice for a week. There's the hospital. Introduce me to the staff, because I did mostly ICU. So introduce me to the ICU staff, and then you're on your own for that weekend or for that long weekend or for that week. And for me, that I went back to my books. I tried to read and understand the different feeds. And even though like the previous year when I was in ComServe, I was okay. The feeds, I knew them, like I knew the requirements, I knew how to calculate everything. But then when you a year later and you are in front of a patient and the patient needs TPN or needs this, you don't even know what you must order, what you must calculate for. So I think it was important for me to, when I go back to my books and also going and doing it practically, it helped me to try and remember how to do everything. And I feel like also with with locuming and also I don't want to say hustling in private practice, but
no, it is a hustle. It is a hustle, darling. It is a hustle. I've been doing this for a couple of years. It's a hustle.
Oh, okay, let me say hustle then. So hustling in private practice, you know, when I started working at Netcare and I was on my own there, and you know, having to because there was a person that helped me to, you know, start up the practice, to tell me, okay, this is what you have to do. You have to go get your logo done, do your business cards, you have to register with medical aids. I didn't even know he had to do that for you to claim. So he helped me to register with medical aids. He just asked for my details, and he's one of the physios I met at Netcare N17.
Oh yeah.
So he actually helped me with, you know, registering for everything. So funny enough, it wasn't a dietitian that helped me start up my practice. So, and then after that, he assisted me with, so I registered, and then he was like, okay, this is the next step. You have to go and introduce yourself to the doctors. They have to know that, you know, you are here and you have services to, you're rendering a service, and you have to know your story. You have to know what you're passionate about, because they need to know where you fit in their own practice. So then I went through, you know, you carry your diary around, have your business card, go and meet certain doctors, and, you know, it will seem promising, you meet another one. So it was just a back and forth where you meet different people, and and then after that, I think there was a day I was actually at the Netcare where I was working. I had just seen a patient, and I was by the nurses' station. I was just chilling with the nurses. I just finished seeing a few patients. And then I get a phone call. And then I'm like, okay. And then they're like, the lady was like, hi, I forgot her name. She's from Helen Joseph Hospital. You got the post. I'm like, I was like, I said, okay. I'm like, I looked around. I'm like, am I the only one hearing this? Like, and with actually now going back, sorry, I didn't even mention about the post. So I went and applied for the post at Helen Joseph for a grade 1 dietitian.
Yeah.
And then I went in for the interview. There were quite a lot of us. Like it was really, I felt so intimidated that day, because I saw people that have been in dietetics for so long. Like there was a girl that when I was in first year, she was graduating, and I saw her at the interview, and I know the way she speaks, because they used to make us first years to listen to the final year's research project. So I remember her from that, and I was like, wow, am I even gonna get this post? And then I went in for the interview, and I just forgot about it. I'm like, you know what, I'm not gonna think about this post. If it's mine, I'll get it. If it's not, I'll keep hustling, you know? So going back to that day that I got the phone call, it felt like, you know, because I wanted to get more experience, you know, before I could actually go proper into private practice, because I felt like at that point, you know, I was just fresh out of varsity and went to do ComServe. I felt like I haven't experienced the broadness of dietetics, and now my situation was forcing me to go into private practice. So at least I was afforded the opportunity to get a government post, and
Okay, so would you then come back full-time to private practice?
Yeah, it's a hassle. I don't know. I actually.
No, in the future, just a disclaimer. No, in the very far future.
In the far future, I would. But I think maybe not necessarily as an you know, outpatient dietitian. I think clinical dietitian, I would go back, but not as I don't know. For me, clinics, I don't. It's maybe it's not for me, but
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I guess what then happens, just for somebody maybe who's not a dietitian to really grasp that a dietitian can work as a clinical dietitian, meaning that you are working maybe in a hospital setup whereby, like how Sibongile is now in the public hospital, you are involved in critical care, in the ICU, in casualty, trauma, and a dietitian will be that person who's going to come in and prescribe, or when a person is eating via a tube and a tube feeding, and then they will come and prescribe that type of a bag that has food, because that liquidish food that people see, it is actually food. So that's a clinical dietitian. But then if you're working as an outpatient dietitian, it's like you've got a private practice. You see people say, it's people who want to lose weight or they've got diseases, they come see you, you give like more the nutrition counseling as opposed to the nutrition therapy for them. But it can be a combination, but I find that in hospital, that's where clinical practice is more at. Now, you are working as a clinical dietitian, Helen Joseph, okay? So the storm is over, and you've been there for how long now?
1 year, 3 months. Yeah, I had my anniversary in April just now.
It's been that long. Sure. It feels like it was just yesterday when you were when you came to my office and you were like, I don't know what to do here.
It wasn't so long ago. Yeah, it was about a year ago. Yeah, I started in April 2019. Yeah. Okay,
and then now, are you enjoying working in like, obviously, are you enjoying it? If either yes or no, what are some of the challenges, and what advices would you again give to, because you've given now advice for a dietitian who's a concept dietitian in the public space, but working, as you've been now working for a year there, what are some of your takes and advices that you've got, for a clinical dietitian in public sector?
In public sector, I've really grown. I've really learned a lot. And what I like about the way in which we function as a department is that every year we have a meeting at the end of the year, and you say which wards you want to do, what do you want to get more exposure on, and what is it that you're interested in. So so this year for me, I was mainly focusing on ICU, critical care, and also I stood in a bit for casualty, and then COVID came, and then now we're doing COVID wards. So I think in terms of, how do I put it? In terms of experience, work experience, it's very important for you to know what you want out of your experience. So let me break it down. So it's important for you to know, why do I wake up every day and go to work? What am I hoping to achieve? What am I hoping to achieve by me waking up every day and working? So when we have these yearly meetings and you decide, okay, as a dietitian, I want to get more experience in surgery. I want to get more experience in critical care. I want to get more experience in this and that. So, and Helen Joseph Hospital doesn't have pediatrics. And one of my main passions was pediatrics, because my research is on pediatrics. So when I had got the post and I was like, okay, there's no pediatrics, but it's a start. At least I'm in the system, and if a time comes and I have to move from there to peds, then I will, when the time is right. So what was I going to say now? Yeah, so basically, what advice I can give to clinical dietitians, our team, we work as a team, we help each other out. If, let's say, someone is sick, or if someone, can't get their work done, we try and help each other out as much as we can. So we function as a unit, which is very important in a department, that, you don't work like you don't isolate yourself. You don't just work on your own. You're like, okay, I do surgery and that's all I do. I don't do any other wards, because you don't know what that exposure can help you with tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it's important for us to help each other out. And another thing is communication is very important. So communication with doctors, communication with the nursing staff. And then it also goes back to, you know, what I said about the community service dietitian, respecting every single person. It doesn't matter if they are the data capturer. It doesn't matter if they're cleaner or the security guard. Still treat them with respect. Because one day you are going to need that person to help you with something. And
no.
It will be difficult for you to ask for a favor from someone that you know you didn't treat right the first day you met them.
100%. Hey, that was just quite a mouthful, because you are touching on very important things that, you know, essentially are for helping us progress. And now, for a dietitian who is unemployed at this moment, right? I'm saying either they've been employed at some point, but right now they've been looking for a job in the government sector and they're not finding a job. Firstly, what must they do? Is there like a specific recipe that's, or is this to go with the flow and obviously, you know, try and apply those things that we were talking about? Is there like a specific thing or a way of handling yourself in the interview, or something that we are not maybe familiar with, some of us?
Sure. So getting in the public sector is very difficult. It's not an easy thing to get into, because the post will come out and they'll say it's only one person's post and there's like 50 of you guys, or it's only 2 people that they can take. So they have to take like the best one or the best top 2 people. So I think I don't have a recipe. Like, my advice would be, I think from what I've seen and experienced, is that comparing my first interview to my second interview is that there's a lot that had happened after the first government interview I had. And I've noticed that I don't want to say employers, but most companies, or I would say business, government sectors, need someone that let me not speak on their behalf, but from what I've observed, let me say what I've observed. So if you are busy, so busy in terms of, you know, you wake up and you find a purpose and you know why you wake up every day and you're doing something with your life, and you know that, okay, I'm unemployed, but I'm doing something.
Yeah.
That is the first thing that they look at. They look at your CV. They're like, okay, she did ComServe. What is she doing now? And what is she doing with what she's learned, or he has learned in the past? So I remember my first interview, the interview that I had for Helen Joseph, there was one of the girls, when we went to the same university, she was a year behind me, and she helped me with she was one of the data capturers for my research. She only joined me for the research after that interview. She didn't get the post for Helen Joseph. And then I remember I called, I'm like, you know what, come, let's do research together. And then she helped me to collect my data. And then after that, there was I remember there was a wellness day that you had invited me to go to.
Oh yeah,
and then I did that wellness day. I invited her to come with. She came, and I told her, whatever we're doing together, you put it in your CV, include it in your CV. Try and do as much as you can. Try and be busy as much as you can, even though it is like difficult, but try and do something almost every day. And then there was a post in, I think it's Kalafong. She went for that post and she got it. So I don't know if it was a coincidence or whatever, I don't know. But what I'm trying to say is that stay busy. Don't sit at home and do nothing. Do something, whatever it is, but continue equipping yourself with knowledge and experience on a daily basis. And yeah, that's what I can say.
I really like, I'm 100% in agreement with the fact that what you're saying, be busy. You know, when you're unemployed, it's like sometimes your mind as well just goes on a some poverty mentality.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of things that one can do that don't like, they don't need money in a sense, because we understand when a dietitian is, or anybody else, when they are unemployed, they don't have money to be, you know, splurging and spending on other stuff. But your mind needs to be open in that way, that even if you don't have a job, but wake up, bath, you know, get off pajamas, you know, get on some, you know, clean clothes. Those are simple things. Have breakfast, have some form of a routine that you have that is going to help you, you know, stay on top of things. Because if you just let yourself be, you lose it. You lose the grasp of it. You lose that fire that keeps on, you know, that has to keep on burning inside you. That's going to propel you. So yeah, it was I think you gave the that other dietitian brilliant advice, because I would say some of it had to do with that, the fact that she got a job, because she looked and seemed and was actually busy with a variety of stuff. So I remember when I was, I think I was unemployed at some point after my ComServe for like 3-4 months. And while I was still looking for a job in government, because I had set my mind into looking for a job in a government hospital for the same reason of not wanting to lose the clinical dietitian in me.
Yeah.
I would wake up, and if I'm not, you know, searching the internet for something, I would be busy with CPD. So whenever I would go to maybe an internet cafe or wherever, I will then use the internet to download CPD articles, so that at my own leisure at home, I can then start doing CPDs and reading. And if I'm not reading, I'm trying to, you know, polish my skills of compiling emails, or looking into my CV and looking into how can I improve it. Those are sort of things that you can be busy with. But also, you mentioned something about being assisted by your colleague, a physiotherapist, who was not even a dietitian when he was assisting you, obviously. And sometimes we are so fixated in thinking that I need to be helped by the same people that I'm in the profession with. But even somebody who's not a dietitian, an engineer, whatever their profession is, an economist, a lawyer, whatever the case is, they can help if you need help with, you know, just, you know, building your business skills, or you know, leadership skills, or whatever the case is. So yeah, I think that's brilliant. So now you are working, now during the pandemic, you are working on the COVID-19 medical wards, right, as well. How is that? You know, is it difficult? How has that been for you?
It's scary. I think the first time when you know, there was, like they said, there's a COVID patient, you know, you get that feeling. You're like, oh my word, you know, was I in contact with them, you know? And I think after a while you sort of learn everything, and you equip yourself with knowledge, and especially with regards to how to take care of yourself. So like with making sure you wash your hands, and that's actually normal things that you would have to do anyway. Like when you walk into an ICU, you wash your hands. When you're in between patients, you wash your hands, or you sanitize. When you work with the patient, you wear your apron, you wear your gloves. So it was just so for me, my experience working in COVID wards, I think I've adapted quite well, you know, with getting on the PPE. So we have a donning and a doffing station. So you go in your donning station, you put on your hairnet, your apron, your gloves, and your shoe covers, and your mask, and then you go in and see the patient. So in our COVID wards, we don't really, you are more than 1 meter far, like apart from you and your patient. So there is quite a lot of distance between you and the patient. But there are times when, let's say, you are on the corridor and there's a patient that's going to the bathroom. And not that you're necessarily in contact with them, but there are patients moving up and down. And also the surfaces, they also, I don't want to say they're not so clean, but it can be everywhere, you know?
Yeah.
So you just try and protect yourself as much as you can. You see the patient, you try and stay. So what we've done now, we stopped doing anthropometry. So you estimate everything because you want to limit contact with the patient. So we don't weigh any patient, you estimate the weight. Or you ask them, okay, what is your previous weight before you came? Do you remember what your weight was? And then you just assess the patient's nutritional status just by looking at them from a distance. And then you get all the information from the file, and then you go outside to a station after you doff. So we usually put our cell phones in a plastic. And you also have to ask permission from the patient if you can take pictures of the stuff that's in the file that you're going to use when you go outside and write all your information. And then after you've asked permission, you take pictures of all the stuff you need, and then you go and doff, you remove the plastic, and then you go out and you write the information, and then you delete everything from your phone after that. So I think for us, we've adapted, and we actually, I'll speak on behalf of my department. I think we've really adapted well. And with regards to us, every morning when we come in the office, we clean our desk with water that has bleach in, and yeah, every single day when we come in, you clean your desk. And then we don't sit. Usually before, we used to have lunch together at a table. Now you have to have lunch at your desk. So it has been a bit, difficult in terms of us being, because we usually, lunchtime is our social time where we speak to each other. You talk about what happened at home, about, what's happening on the weekends for you. How are you? How's your family doing? So it's a bit difficult now that we sit so far apart. There isn't
that social,
how do I put it? That socializing part of it. So I think it's difficult, I think, social wise. But with regards to us seeing our patients and, taking care of our patients, I think we're doing well.
Okay, great. And you spoke about a couple of important things. I mean, these are more, obviously, we're highlighting now that they're applicable during the pandemic. In terms of asking for consent from a patient, and also just, the hygiene part, and they take pictures of the patient information. Very important what you said. You have to delete them after you've taken, you've copied what you were supposed to copy. And I guess those are some of the things that even beyond the pandemic, on our daily or normal lives, we need to always, as dietitians or as healthcare professionals, be very aware and cognizant of, and sometimes I think younger dietitians, when we come in, when we are still fresh from university or whatever, we miss those things of asking the patient for consent, and also engaging them in a sense of, can I touch you? I mean, I'm talking in the days where we are able to touch the patient and say, can I touch you? Can I please touch you? Do you mind if I do this or that or something like that? Because when we just gonna, I'm not for that, and just coming in and grabbing a blanket and removing it just because you want to assess the patient. I've seen this in some cases, especially when it comes to healthcare professionals helping moms to breastfeed. There is a lot of no consent that happens. A person will just come and grab a mom's breast and put in a child's mouth, and you're thinking, I think you must ask and say, do you mind if I assist you? Do you mind if I hold your breast? Do you mind if I touch your leg? Because it goes back to what you were saying, that respect of each other as human beings, that doesn't only have to come because we are colleagues, we are working together, but it also has to be transferred into our patients what we ask them. You know, some things are given. Like if a patient comes to my practice, somehow it's given that they will be weighed. You know, I'm going to ask them to step on the scale, and they're there for that. Anyway, most of them are there for that. But I always just remind myself that I need to ask, you know, do you mind if I weigh you? Do you mind if we talk about your weight? You know, because in that way, it's just to show the kindness. And I think, yeah, what you were saying was quite important. Is it as bad as we know it to be, as people who are not working in the public hospital during this pandemic? Is it, and I'm talking bad in a sense of, you know, beds, lack of beds, and you know, we've seen in corridors where healthcare professionals will be standing and they are crying because maybe another healthcare professional has died or has passed away. Is it like that? Is it a daily thing that you go through such, you know, experiences, or it happens and some days it doesn't?
In terms of when you ask, is it as bad? So with us, I think we were prepared quite a while back. If I remember correctly, we had, I don't remember when, but our COVID ward was already opened in, I think it was April or March. I think it was in March, yeah. We had already had a COVID ward. So we prepared ourselves quite early enough, even though Joburg Jane was the one that was seeing all the COVID patients. So then our patients would come in as PUIs, and they'd go into the COVID ward. And then if they're positive, they'd go to Joburg Jane. And then as time went on, more and more wards started opening up. So more people were trained, more people were, you know, more wards were opening up for patients. And I remember the whole 7th floor now had become a COVID area. So with us, there hasn't really been that, you know, where patients are on the corridor or these, you know, with regards to lack of beds, I can't really say much about that, but there was a time when the COVID was at its peak. I think that was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, when COVID was really at its peak, and you could see that, you know, there is a lot of patients, like especially with there's a lot of patients. And I think in that week when it was the peak, I was working in casualty, and casualty is busy. Like, that's when I saw, like, you know, when you see the reality of something, you're like, okay, no, now this is bad, you know?
Yeah.
And in casualty, we have like a bubble. We call it the bubble. So it's like an area in casualty where it's just only the COVID patients go there, and they try and stabilize them before they can find a bed for them. And some patients will stay there for like a few days. If there's no bed in COVID ICU and the patient needs to go to ICU, there is no bed. So they just have to wait until maybe another patient gets better, and then they move. And then unfortunately, some of them do pass away, and then they find beds for new patients. So it was, and you know, it was emotionally for me, it was a bit, because you know, you see patients sometimes, you like, some patients pass away, and you're like, you're okay, like you've gotten used to patients passing away. But seeing someone being okay one moment and the next moment they're gone, like it's quite, yeah, it's quite disheartening, and it's quite emotionally draining. So I think my most emotional place, like really bad emotional place, was when I worked in casualty, because the turnaround, the turnover in casualty was quite a lot. It was quite quick, and patients would go in and out. So yeah.
Okay. And then to just South Africans, I mean, we are still in the midst of a pandemic. What are some of the things that, as a healthcare professional yourself, you think are important for them to always, you know, to continue doing at this moment?
In terms of COVID?
Yeah.
So it's still important for you to know, to understand the seriousness of the situation. You know, it's even though I think we have reached our peak, I think things are looking a bit better, I think, in terms of the hospitals. But I think it's still important for us to be responsible. Be responsible people. Don't attend gatherings. Stop attending gatherings. Because I do still see people on social media attending gatherings. And, you know, continue practicing good hygiene, like washing your hands. And, you know, when you come inside your house from the shops, make sure that you make it a habit for you to wash your hands and, you know, try and protect the people around you.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So what's next for you? What is the future looking like as a dietitian and currently working in public sector? So, and you're still doing your master's, I know, in public health, as you said earlier. What else? What else is just in the horizon for you?
Sure. I'm not sure. Hey, I just submitted my master's for examinations, so I don't know what's going to happen after that. Hopefully.
Are you going PhD? Yeah.
No. and people keep asking me, do you want to go and do it? Yo, guys, no way. So I'm tired. I'm tired. Yo, no.
Let's go. PhD.
In the like late future, you know, maybe, yeah, but not I don't think anytime soon. But what's next for me is that hopefully everything goes well with my examination, and that I'll actually do so usually when you submit your thesis for examination, you get feedback, and then you do an online like a Skype interview where they ask you about your research, and then that's what determines whether or not you pass. But I think usually if your research is fine, you already passed. Yeah. And then after that, you graduate. So hopefully, I don't know if COVID is going to allow us, maybe if I can graduate, maybe I'll do a virtual graduation, I don't know. And then after that, I think it's just, you know, gaining more experience in government and exploring what more I can actually do. And now I've actually, I started working with one of the orthopedic doctors. So I'm going into more like arthroplasty. So arthroplasty is mostly like your patients that are, the clinic that we do for our patients that need hip and knee replacements.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm trying to go into that now. I was doing ortho for the whole of last year and this year, so I'm more involved in that now. So I'll see where it takes me, and yeah, and hopefully in the future I don't have to be in government for so long. You know, I feel like I need to give, once I've learned what I need to learn in government, I feel like other people need to get the opportunity, and I need to move on and go somewhere else. I don't think I will be in government when I'm like 35 or something, or 40. I don't think I'll stay that long. Hopefully not. So I hope many doors do open up for me that I can actually, you know, use my degree for the better and actually get to do what I'm passionate about.
Yeah. What's the value? Just a quick one. What's the value that, in your opinion, dietitians add into the government hospitals when you're working as a dietitian there?
I think we play a very important role in terms of, you know, I experienced the importance of being a dietitian when I actually saw, that was in my ComServe year, when I saw a severely malnourished child, and I was in my pediatric block. I saw that child, and I was seeing him every day. He gained a bit of weight. We supplemented him, and then he had gained weight well enough for him to go home. So then he went home, and then in there, so what we do is that with some patients, they have to be followed up every single month. So the child kept on coming back. So then he came back again. He was coming like every month for weighing and nutrition. So you'd educate the mother on how to feed the child. You give them TTO, so the supplements that they need, if they need porridge or ensure and all of that, and you keep assessing them until they've reached the desired weight and until they mid-upper arm circumference is okay. So until they well nourished. So I think for me, that was one of the most rewarding things that I've seen as a dietitian, because I saw that child when they came in, they couldn't eat by themselves. They were on drips. They had a nasogastric tube. Then moving from that to a child that's laughing and playing. And so I really feel like even though it was something that had happened to that child's life, then we were able to give them an opportunity to be a child that can grow and be someone one day. So yeah, so really giving people an opportunity to get a second chance in everything. And also with our TPN patients, so seeing a patient that's not able to eat anything and we're feeding them through the vein, and moving from that to being able to start from fluids and then do soft food, and then go from that to solids, and then seeing the person actually get nourished and get better and being discharged from the hospital. So it is quite rewarding when you see people progress and become better and leave the hospital being happy.
Yeah. All right. So I think that part, you've summarized a lot of things that almost define or let people into understanding what a dietitian does, in a way. But I think that was brilliant. So I always, when I look into dietitians who, like when you're trying to find a job and all of that, as we were speaking earlier, I think you are one of those people from your story that really has pushed themselves into trying new things. You've got a big goal of where you want to land and where you want to end up or what you want to end up doing, but you haven't closed your mind into just fixating your mind into that goal. You've said there are many ways and many routes I could take to land into that final goal. I mean, you mentioned that you would have loved to be more in the pediatric setup, and Helen Joseph obviously doesn't do pediatrics, which are the kids, but you've embraced it. I mean, being involved in hip and replacements and all that, and also, just that for me says a lot about you as a dietitian, in the sense of, I'm gonna get there, but I need to just try a couple of things before I get to where I'm supposed to be. So brilliant. Just the last, any last, comments or advice or anything that you want to mention before we wrap up the session this afternoon?
I don't have much to say, but thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak and to let people know my story. Maybe there might be someone who's gone through a similar journey, or who is going through what I went through, and maybe they could learn one thing or two, and yeah, that's about it. Nothing much.
All right.
I'm so glad that, finally there was, with perseverance, we got to do this live, because
no, but there was a point where I was like, I'm over it, and you said, please, let's be patient, let's just figure it out. I was like, I'm over.
You see, patience. I'm very impatient, but I am patient sometimes.
No, today you were extremely, extremely patient with the whole situation of connections and stuff. That, I was just thinking, when we were at the end, when we just had figured it out how to do it now, I was quickly thinking that I don't think I was going to hang around with somebody who's got connection. I've got connection issues. You have connection. I was going to be like, can we just reschedule to another day? But you really, really stayed on. And I think, the fact that I did this trial with somebody who is patient like this, now I know that I can always do and finish those live sessions I've scheduled and complete them with Zoom, because we never had issues, and we are live on Facebook at the same time. So yeah, but Sibongile, thank you so much. And to everyone who is catching us on Facebook Live, I'm going to save it on my timeline. I'm going to also save it on the Instagram TV, on my Instagram timeline as well. And thank you for joining us. If there are any questions that were asked on Facebook, I'm going to try answer them now when we finish, because we can't see those questions and comments from the Zoom side, but I know that you've been there. Yeah, but anyway, it was a good one, and thank you, Sibongile. Have a fantastic rest of the day. and we shall continue communication.
All right, keep well. Bye.
All right, bye. Let's end it.